Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. This is episode de, recorded on March 23rd, 2025, to get posted to the podcast service of your choice on Tuesday. No, on, sorry, yes, Tuesday,
Yeah,
March
no, Tuesday.
25th.
It's
Yeah,
still
it was
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
March 25th, to the usual spots: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and YouTube.
Like
That's the
and
intro.
subscribe on YouTube.
Did you hate it when he said do like
I did.
that? I hated
I
that.
still hold
did.
on.
I would have
hated
preferred you
myself.
said like double deuce.
Something, anything
Well,
else.
so
Or
when
like
you did that.
deuce is wild. Or,
Oh, that's
Just to
bad.
be fair, I
no,
hated,
not nearly
I
as
hated
bad
it.
as you fucking said. Good.
I hated it too.
Good.
So
All right, well, as long as you know it,
Yeah.
it's fine.
No edits here. It's never happening.
I am one of your hosts, Grayson. Her hair was awful, just awful. Maxwell joining me as I do every
I
week.
didn't
My
know what I was
co-host.
talking about for a second.
No, I
didn't,
knew.
and no, I do. I know. I do. I like it dawned on me what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
was like, what the fuck?
Continue,
Fucking
Grayson.
awful.
Yeah, my fault. My fault. Go ahead.
Joining me as I do every week, my co-host Roger. Disney continues to make bad choices. Stillian and Chris Sleepy Bond. Because I figure if all
That's a
the
bit
you'd be
wordy
sleepy.
for me.
It is wordy. I'm absolutely sleepy all the time, so that fits. Back to the hair. Did she just look like she had like a Lord Farquaad wig
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
right?
of course.
So,
of course,
I
of
thought
course.
that exact.
I said
thing.
that to my wife on the way in. I said, "Look at the poster. Doesn't she look like
I'm
Farquaad?"
sorry.
She was like,
the
"Who's
first thing I told my wife was she looked like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber.
wrong haircut?" That's
Yeah.
me. That's me sometimes,
That's
unfortunately.
bad.
Yeah.
Guys, how's it going? How's it going in your world this week? Back east.
I mean, good.
Yeah.
It was warm. That was cold.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
I hate being an old man and
This is
bitching
a
about the
weather
weather,
podcast. Deal with it.
but I don't like. It was so nice that it was warm for 4.5 days, and now it's just been a cold blistering cold, and I hate
Yeah.
it.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So my fridge died on
Oh no.
Thursday. Yeah, I went to work Thursday. I came back and the fridge was dead. Everything. I opened it up, it was warm. The freezer was thawing. I was like, God damn it! So I had to buy a new fridge this weekend. That really hurt the bank, but it's being delivered this coming Saturday, I think.
Don't you
So
rent a place? You have to provide the fridge.
well, no, we'll see. There was a fridge here, but
Yeah, look, from your earlier statement of your fridge died, I
yeah,
figured.
no, but like they're not required. That like some places think this is not considered like basic
As
housing.
a
so-
landlord, you don't actually have to provide a
Gotcha.
refrigerator. If
Gotcha.
it's
No,
not-
in some zoning in California you do, but this is I'm not zoned for one of those.
I got you.
So yeah, so I have to. I mean, I gotta. She's like, you don't have to get a fridge, but I mean, I'm not gonna buy you one. So I'm like, okay,
Sure.
well,
No, it's fine.
fair enough, fair enough.
She's like, "No, you don't got to get one, but I'm not getting one."
As
for
the
you."
acting slumlord here, I can tell you what you where I live, what you do and don't have to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
Now,
been a
since
major.
mine are in my paperwork, I do have to do that. But if these people ever move out, I will not be doing that again.
Gotcha.
That's
Like,
in
look,
my,
I'm glad you have one, but if you fuck it up,
Yeah.
oh well.
It's been a major inconvenience. I have a lot of things in coolers. I just keep buying bags of ice. I don't know how it's going to work, but yeah. So I took a lot of my stuff to work.
So, are you
and
ready
put in
for
the
food
freezer.
poisoning? Is that
Maybe, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to like be strategic with how I eat things. I took a lot of the the fish and the chicken. I took to work, put it in the work fridge and the work
Okay.
freezer. So at least that's
sure?
safe.
Good call. Good call.
But like, there's some other stuff that I'm slowly eating and trying to just keep cool with ice. But like ice, as I'm just now learning, like in my mind, it
Oh,
always like it doesn't
Stop.
freeze. No. But like ice, even
no,
when it's
it won't.
doesn't
It
freeze.
won't
Yeah,
freeze
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
so, like,
So
I just,
fun
ahead.
fact about old Chris here.
Mhm.
Never had food poisoning,
what?
Really?
and I've eaten some questionable shit in my day.
You know, the only time that I'm 100% certain I had food poisoning, I got it from a McDonald's.
From a
Snack
fast food
wrap?
place.
A snack wrap.
Remember
Wow.
the chicken snack
Man.
wraps, which used to be like the
Yeah,
Alpha
yeah.
snack wrap.
The snack that gave back. Huh?
So yeah, I remember like this was like probably pushing almost 20 years ago
Oh,
now,
Jesus.
right? And I remember it very vividly because like I ate the snack wrap and it was like one of the only things I'd eaten
Mhm.
all day, and like I didn't feel real well, and I didn't think anything of it really because like you know I was in my mid-20s, I would drink a lot, didn't really matter.
I've
You know,
done
like
shit
it was
to my
like, hey,
body.
look, it's after work on a Tuesday. What do you want to do? Let's go to
Yeah.
the bar because I wasn't married.
Yeah,
Fuck,
of
let's
course.
go.
There
Right?
you
It
go.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
And like I remember I was walking around work and it was like 3 hours after I ate it and I burped. And it was just the crunch wrap. And I was like, oh. and then like an hour later, just like.
Oh, man.
things took a turn. Is what you're saying?
It was like the
Yep.
fucking
Oh yeah.
both sides of the world.
I have
together.
had
Yep.
so I've had food poisoning at least once in my, like, I remembered my adult life in 2012. I only remember because like I was still at Marquee at the time, Roger, and
Okay, sure.
that was rough because they were like towards the end. I felt so bad. I had to just sit in the shower because like nothing else
And
was
cry.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's just
As
it's
the liquid
so
flows
bad.
out of my body.
Stop. No, so yeah, like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've never had food poisoning. Friend of mine, real good friend of mine, he got food poisoning from a one of those shrimp cocktail rings.
Oh yeah, it's fucking
That you can buy
sketchy
at,
at best.
yeah,
sure.
yeah, you can buy it from your local garage,
Fucking gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he bought one of those, pounded down all 40 of those things, and then got food poisoning.
God of cool.
Hold on, it was he said it was the worst experience of his life, and he thought he was going to die. I believed him. Like a couple weeks later, it was Christmas time, and someone brought one to a Christmas
Sure,
party.
because it's common.
He's in the next room around the corner. Someone opens this thing up, and the smell of it hit him, and he threw up immediately, like from 0 to gone. And
Good.
he's throwing up. He's just going, "Where is it? Where is it?" Just throwing up, running to the bathroom. Like it was.
Hey, that was me
someone-
with Jack Daniels for many years. That was just after a bad experience.
As someone who
Ugh.
loves like shrimp, I'm
Same.
like it seems like in my mind like, oh yeah, I'll eat all 40 of those. That's an excellent
Yep.
idea. But
So like, here's the
terrible,
thing though. Like,
terrible.
you currently live on the coast. I live in Ohio.
Yeah.
Like, listen, none of this is fresh.
Yeah.
None of it.
Yeah,
0%.
that came in a truck over days.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, look, no one is shrimping Lake Erie. It's just not happening.
You can
The
craw-
mighty Ohio
you
River.
can- you can get crawdads though.
Nor would you want
Yeah.
them to shrimp out of that. I'm sure by this point you probably don't want them
No,
to.
yeah.
For Lake Erie's probably fine, actually.
Y-
The Ohio River? No.
Yeah, no.
God,
You have
Christ,
just
no.
as much chance of finding a dead body in there as you do. A
Yeah,
shrimp.
yeah.
Hey,
You
hey,
really-
they just- hey, the body count reset a couple days ago.
I
Found us a
know.
new one, baby.
Yep.
yeah, baby. Ohio.
You know what? That's what I'll start doing. Every time we have a dead body, I'll start posting it to the podcast YouTube channel.
You know how
Little
like,
blurbs.
highway sign, like you're driving on the highway.
Jason's last
Yeah,
accident,
Jason's last accident, Jason's last crash.
last floater.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ohio River needs one of those for dead
Mhm.
bodies found.
Sure.
So
Mm.
anyway, we have a movie podcast to probably talk about, right, guys?
We do. Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, I never know when you two yahoos are done talking about your things over there. So
I mean, we talked about food poisoning and floating dead bodies. Let's go talk about Snow White.
once again, folks, this is episode
Good.
22 of Post Credits Podcast, for a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. This week we have a very good episode planned. We just listened to us yammer on. We're going to get into the box office. Then we have a movie recommendation by Chris, and then we're going to talk about Disney then and now, and then Snow White, the much delayed movie, $330 million budget. We're going to talk about that one. But first, let's start with the box office. Why are you laughing?
Really,
Because
330?
Just because,
That's what
like,
it's estimated, yeah.
just the fucking fact that this movie costs as much as Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. But there's reasons for that, and we'll get into that. But okay,
The
so
sets-
number one,
Is it the giant intergalactic battle that happens at the end?
no. Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. Number one, as predicted, Snow White, with a domestic 43 so far reported, and a worldwide
So,
of
like, it's only-
87.
It's like 88 million. Like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that number,
People are gonna
but
So
like
number
it ain't
one-
going nowhere else.
So number one, 43 million. Number two, 4.4 million. Not a strong weekend for movies. Black Bag with a worldwide of 24. Number three, Captain America, still making a few pennies here and there. 4.1 million for a worldwide of 400. That should have been weekend. That should have been weekend two, 400 million at very least, if not weekend one.
I mean, if it was a good movie,
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
maybe.
Mickey 17, 3.9 million for a worldwide of 110. Put that in a little perspective. Mickey 17 has done a fourth of what Captain America Brave New World has done. I mean, a little perspective. Put that in perspective. Number 5, Novocaine. Chris, you missed Novocaine, but it was a rad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like one of
Okay.
Like,
All right.
maybe one
I
of the
dug
first,
Novocaine a lot.
All right.
maybe one of the first must watches of 2025.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
it was really good.
Best movie in
3.8 million.
several weeks here.
Okay. I'll turn it on at some point. I was interested. I was afraid it was gonna be like super campy and super dumb, but it can be
Where-
super campy and super
where
awesome.
where
so.
it is super campy, it's fucking awesome
Okay, cool,
because of
cool.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's got a 21 million worldwide take. 6 through 10, real quick. We have The Alto Knights, which did nothing. The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. The Monkeys, number 8. Number 9,
Monkey?
Dogman. Dogman for Chris, Dogman. And number 10, The
Okay.
Last Supper. I don't even know what that is. Jeez.
It's an Easter movie.
Yeah, I
It's just
figured it was the
Last
name,
Supper
but-
Part 1
Oh,
is what it's actually officially listed as.
Part
'cause-
1? Are they going to do Part 2 Resurrection?
Well, so I don't understand how you have Last Supper Part 2. Like that's just another unless it's like the same dinner
That's
party.
just dinner.
Like like an action. Like listen, like when you go to like a wedding reception, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
long dinner. Maybe like this is the
Yeah.
first hour and a half of the
Jeez.
wedding reception, and then you follow it up with like the back half where everybody's fucking hammered, which is way cooler always. Like once the loser family leaves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You ever listen to those awkward dinner parties where like you hear the sound effect of like silverware clanging and like then people are saying the most awkward and awful stuff to each other. I feel like there should be a funny skit at the Last Supper of them saying really bad things to each other. No, all right, didn't get a laugh. Never mind. I retract what I said.
You were going for a laugh for that.
Oh, geez.
It
Okay.
was, yeah, of course.
I thought you had like
Here,
a story.
Do it again and I'll laugh.
Yeah, hold
Do
on.
it
Try
again,
it
do it
one more time. Give another.
It's
Give
gone.
it your best
It's gone.
shot.
All right, the Last Supper should be done in a way that it's an awkward dinner party. Thank you. I
Nah,
knew
it's
I
not
knew you
enough.
could do that.
I can't, man. Like I tried. Everything in me said don't do it. You know
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
told me not to do that. So.
I knew you were gonna do it, and I still did it.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's the definition
Fucking-
of madness.
How do you think I end up here every fucking week? Same feelings.
Well, what do you guys feel at the box office? Is that deserved or not?
I mean, I'm not surprised by it. It's if you look at the worldwide of a couple of those big movies, you have to be slightly disappointed. I mean, like, look, Captain America's not very good. Didn't make a lot of money. Not surprised. Mickey 17's okay. Not making any money.
Yeah.
Don't really care. Novocaine is good. Not making any money. Don't actually care. They didn't
Yeah.
make any money. I was just happy I got to see it. And listen, Snow White's number 1. Sure. Like, I'm not surprised by it. But, like, the movie's got a whole fucking mess of its own problems. And we're going to talk about that at length here in a little bit. But am I surprised that it's, at like 45 or so million and like at 88 million worldwide? No.
I think
Will I be surprised if it if it goes the same amount next week? Sure, I would be astounded, but it's not going to happen.
I think the thing that I think about when you're talking about the box office this time around is the two key movies here are still Captain America and Snow White now, right?
Yep.
Both budgets, you said 30
Overly
million, and then the other one was like was estimated, rumored to be over 4,
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
both 300 plus.
which means that Disney has two movies out right now that need to collectively make $2 billion for them to break.
like $1.5 billion if you want to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
that's still a lot of money,
that's-
man. That's
That's a wild run. For
Well, I
them
don't
to
know.
go on.
We were texting about the Electric State, the Netflix movie that we're probably not ever really going to talk about here. I haven't seen it yet, but like that movie costs $350.
Yeah,
Like, which here's the thing, like that this movie's stupid expensive when it's the most expensive thing Netflix has ever done.
Yep.
well.
Like I want you to wrap
also-
your mind around that statement.
Also, I started on Bad Boys in November of 2022, and the movie had already when the movie was done. I mean, the crew was like, I saw people with like the Electric State shirts. Like the movie was done and filmed and like locked and
Yes.
like, so like it's been quite a while since that's been.
Well, it's
even
a
come
ton of
out.
CGI, so like I get the practical being done, but
I'm surprised you haven't
stuff-
watched that yet, Grayson.
I saw it. I just haven't had time this weekend.
with your
However, I'm like,
resounding love for
Millie
I-
Bobby Brown.
Chris Pratt,
Chris Pratt.
that I thought
At
you'd
first-
watch it and gush about
I
it.
was just gonna say
the
I
Alpha
mean,
Chris.
not Alpha Chris. Let me just say that you, Chris, are
talking-
more of an
talking
Alpha
to you.
Chris.
No, me
than-
right now,
Not
right?
you, not
No,
Chris
you are
Pratt.
more of an Alpha Chris. than
Never
Chris Pratt.
disparage Chris Pratt like that.
Am I surprised that Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown are in a movie that absolutely sucks? Not at all. Like, not even a little bit.
Jesus.
Okay, here's the thing: is like,
Jesus
listen,
Christ,
listen,
that might
listen.
be the meanest thing you've ever said on
Listen,
the
Chris
show.
Pratt is finally in a bad film who doesn't do a great job. Grayson's all over this, and I'm not
Mhm.
surprised. Dude,
well, I
listen,
mean, I haven't
this is
seen.
your
In
moment.
all fairness, I haven't seen it, but people are saying it's as bad, if not worse, than Rebel Moon Part 1, and that was
Yeah.
awful.
I've heard that Chris Pratt isn't good in this movie. That it may not be his fault that he's not good because the script isn't good, but he doesn't help this movie at all. Is what I'm told. But not much can help it from everything I've read and seen. So
I think this might be the death of Millie Bobby Brown's career. I can't.
Ooh.
Well, I
No,
mean,
she's a
she has
Nightmare on Elm
had
Street coming up.
she has had bomb
Does
after
she?
bomb after bomb.
I didn't know that.
She's the lead.
In
Well, I mean,
what?
like, look, dude. So here's the thing.
In what?
You
Wait,
say
in
that,
what?
like, there's still a whole other season of
Stranger Things.
Stranger
Right,
Things
yeah.
coming, which is Netflix's like baby,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
one of
which-
its big three.
well, what's funny is I said this is the most expensive thing Netflix ever done. Stranger Things cost them 30 million an episode, and
Yeah.
somehow this is still more fucking expensive.
But yeah. So I mean, she still has that coming up. I don't know about. She's had a tough run lately. I still think she's a good actress.
Wasn't she only like 23 or some
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah,
Like,
she's very young.
You
She's
can't
young.
you can't route. I mean, like, look, she hasn't even become a superhero yet.
Ooh, that's fair.
She may not. I mean, like those are. I mean, we're kind of on the back nine of those, so maybe.
Are
maybe
we?
she
Yeah,
won't.
you
I don't
think,
know.
you wish, you
No,
hope.
buddy. Like this summer
I
is the
do
summer
hope.
all that stuff comes back.
Yeah.
Look, maybe. I'm just saying, maybe we're gonna get really into some trailers in the coming
Okay, would
weeks.
you prefer Millie Bobby Brown as a superhero or a Star Wars person?
Star Wars fits because she's not that good.
Hold on, I was gonna say if
Ooh.
actually that's not a bad question because I hold on. The thing is, like, I don't think.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I don't. Here's the thing with Star Wars is Star Wars is as low as you cannot go lower than like the bar is at. It's a dirt level for Star Wars, but like I don't think Millie Bobby Brown's the best. I just think
Hold on.
she
Star
makes-
Wars movies.
Sure, films. I mean, the shows are horrendously bad. I mean, The Acolyte was a whole new level of fucking terrible.
Well, I mean that's fine, but like the Andor show is like not bad.
I still don't. We can talk about Andor another time if you want, but I'm still not sold on Andor. Like I just don't get
I
it.
mean,
I just don't like.
I don't
it.
want to talk about it on the show, but
No, we don't. But the thing is about the Star Wars stuff is like it's what they've allowed to happen should be punishable by taking people's careers away. Because at
Well, I
one
mean,
time Star Wars was
they
reputable
took-
and now it is not.
They took her off of the lady, the
Yeah.
Catherine
Katherine Heigl.
No.
No, Leslie Headland.
She killed her own career. But yeah, so I
Leslie
mean,
Headland, yeah.
she's KO'd, so like she's
Yeah.
basically probably done with every major project stuff forever.
You know, it's
And, like,
funny because
Star Wars is sitting in flux.
It's funny because I
It's
never thought
weird.
one last thing I'll say about Star Wars, like I never thought like when I was younger, when I was still working in a movie theater, when like movies were still written by people, they're like, no, we have to make sure that all this makes sense. Is like I never would have thought I'd be like, you know what? The prequels are actually pretty good compared to like the sequels and the shows, and it continues to get worse. They make a bigger mockery out of it every year, and I don't understand why they continue to drive it into
Look,
the ground.
I can fix Star Wars. I can.
I mean, how?
I can. You want to? You know how you fix Star Wars?
You stop. You let
After
go.
after everything's in production, legitimately, after everything is in production right now, is done. Hard stop. Okay. And the next thing, the only thing you work on until it's done 100% is a Knights of the Old Republic movie. And that's it. And then you reboot whatever you want.
Yeah. Knights of the
I don't
Republic would-
disagree with you, but it's just Disney
good.
just has a. But
That's all right.
Marvel's also trending
about the
downward too. So
I think they need something more akin to the Force Unleashed than they need in Knights of the Old Republic, because people are going to see that as just another Star Wars trilogy, whereas
yeah,
Force Unleashed.
What if you don't call it Knights of the Old Republic?
Well, okay, but
what if you just
still,
call it Knights of the Republic?
maybe,
And then because then it doesn't have to be set a long time ago.
yeah, but the thing there is that it's just going to feel like another shot at the same
yeah.
the same
I
thing
think-
that we've seen a few times. Whereas the Force Unleashed character story arcs, it's a very different kind
Sure.
of Star
No,
Wars.
you're right.
but it's still-
definitely darker. And
It's still interesting characters within that
Yeah.
universe. So
And the other thing is too is like whenever they're done doing whatever they're currently working on, like the name Skywalker, the name Vader,
yeah,
all that stuff has got to go in a box,
Yeah,
and it's got to fucking stay there
Mhm.
for like
for
25 years, like it has to.
for like ever. Like,
Nah, I want to be 58 years old, and then hear the respirator of Vader all of a sudden in a movie trailer. Be like, oh hell yeah, we're going back, brother. You know what I mean? Like I need that, at some point.
okay, I could 20-year box.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's fair.
Sure.
With
All right.
that said, let's move
All right.
on to a good movie. Chris has a recommendation this week, and I gotta say,
I thought you were going to say fucking Snow White.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus,
like,
yeah, right.
Oh, no,
There
no,
you
I,
go, there you go.
I cannot tell a lie. Abe Lincoln cannot tell a lie.
That's a
Let's
I've
talk
never
about
told a joke.
Tangled, Chris. This
Yeah.
is. I often forget about this one. I'm really glad you chose it because I've been thinking about it for like the last since you mentioned it. And like, it's a damn good movie, directed by Nathan Greno and Byron Howard. It's also got a really good cast: Mandy Moore, Zachary Levi, someone we don't see very much anymore, Ron Perlman, Jeffrey Tambor, MC Gainey, Brad Garrett, to name a few, with Richard Kyle. Why should we watch this one again, Chris? Take it away.
So I thought about this one because after just seeing Snow White, I wanted to think, well, what's a good, male and female duo in a Disney princess movie? And this one is always one that comes to mind for me. This is a fantastic film, in my opinion. Seen a lot. My oldest daughter liked this a lot when she was younger. Story's fun, music's great, characters are interesting. There's actual like good chemistry and back and forth, with the characters that are involved. Fantastic villain in this.
solid animation.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, really good animation in every aspect. And it's just one of those feel good stories that ends up coming together in the end, and it makes sense in the way that the story is being told. And I really do enjoy this movie. If you haven't, it's one of the lesser seen Disney animated movies from this kind of animation. So if you haven't seen Tangled, you should watch it. It's fantastic, especially if you watch Snow White in the recent time and you go, well, that movie wasn't very good. You'll enjoy Tangled.
So,
It's the feeling that we should have got from this version of Snow White.
Interesting to talk about Tangled's animation for just a second.
Mhm.
Is this was Disney doing CGI or full computer animated when like they weren't really doing a whole lot of their own computer animated. They'd only done a couple of them.
Yeah.
Because like Pixar was kind of like their go-to for that.
Yeah,
And they did
yeah.
this without them, and
Mhm.
it was very successful in that
Yeah.
aspect. Also, it was spawned a legendary meme photo. With
true.
all the swords around
Yeah.
the neck. Yeah, like
Yep.
that's
Yeah, there's some really good songs in this. There's some really fantastic lines and interactions in this movie, and it's all around just a good story of strong characters that you want to see on screen and you want to see them succeed. So
it's good. Like deep down, this movie is
Mhm.
pretty darn good.
yeah, agreed.
Like, I don't think it's Aladdin level or Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, but like, it's not far beneath it. It really isn't. It's right. It's like the next level down is like Tangled is on that level.
Yeah.
So, but like, it's a damn good. I even forget that movie exists sometimes because you're right. It is somewhat of a lesser remembered one, but only because it just kind of came out in a weird transition time
Yeah,
for Disney and Pixar. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know. Flynn Rider is just a really fun character to watch on screen, and the way that that Rapunzel's played is pretty perfect.
I think so. Flynn Rider's also a pretty strong name. I've always thought too.
yeah.
I mean, it's no Cade Yeager, but it's pretty strong. I will say
Not
that.
much is Cade Yeager.
Not much is Kate Hager. That's true.
Not much is.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right, boys. So this week, the focus of the episode is Snow White.
Mhm.
But let's just
Yeah.
before we
Yeah,
hop into the
yeah.
movie proper, let's talk about Disney as far as we remember when we were very young and where Disney is now. And I think I think that discussion will be very germane to the Snow White film because of all the reshoots, because of everything going on with it. I think it's an interesting discussion point that we can have. So I'll start us off in saying, when I was born in '85, and of course when I was old enough to start watching the
Jesus, you're old.
films. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. When I was
Yes.
old enough to start like kind of understanding plot and character, like my dad took me to Beauty and the Beast famously. That's what got me into, like, when I left, I was like, I'm going to be involved in movie making in some way. Found my way into it. But like Beauty and the Beast, that was the era of Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin. Like, that's a banger 6 years,
4
man. Like,
fucking bangers, man.
you just
4
don't. I mean,
consecutive bangers.
I would trade. I can't even tell you how many movies I would trade for those 4 movies released again. It's when the emphasis was on story, it was on very strong characters, plot. The movies weren't even long, but they didn't need to be because the story was super strong. You didn't need to make them long to flesh out the character because like they were already going through these wonderful arcs of their own that you didn't need to artificially fluff them.
You mean we
it's
didn't need 109 minutes of terrible songs and hair choices?
Anyway,
turns out you don't. But
Mm.
yeah. So what do you guys what do you guys remember most about being young in Disney?
So I'll do this first because I'm a little bit older, and I'm not even going to talk about the animation for a second. I want to talk about like the other things like Disney made back then. Do you guys remember like movies like Blank Check? You know
Yeah,
those,
and
like
Yeah,
that, like
yeah.
movies like that.
Yeah.
Like that's shit that they don't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's back when like animation was like their bread and butter, right? Like that's where all their money went. But like they had a ton of success with like movies like that were like at 90 minutes, kids centric, family centric, fun comedy things. Like
wasn't
that was such
the Mighty Ducks Disney?
Mighty
It
Ducks
is.
is Disney,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely. And I listen whenever you're ready to write to Mighty Ducks. Like I got the script. Don't worry, I got it. I've already done it. But yeah, like all that stuff, all the stuff now that they've seemed to made into like terrible Disney Plus movies
Mhm.
or plus Disney Plus series, like used to be like movies, and they were really good at doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like that's something changed. Like Pixar came up through, and listen, I'm not ever going to talk shit on Pixar because like their track record is incredible. But like Disney made a choice to like let them handle a lot of their animation for quite a while. And when stuff started to swing back around, you saw the drop off in their own quality stuff. And it's such a weird transition to see all that because like Disney is so big, like you don't, most people don't realize like what falls under the Disney umbrella that's not just movies and that kind of stuff. Like, they own ESPN.
Yeah.
They own
Yeah.
ABC television. They own Hulu. They own all that stuff, which is the funniest thing because I logged into Disney Plus a couple days ago and you know what's on the splash screen? Fucking
Alien
Anora.
Earth?
No,
Oh.
Anora,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is great movie, not appropriate for children. Not
Nope.
appropriate. I mean, like, look, kids, let's learn you something
No,
today.
no.
Let's do
We're
that.
good. We're good.
Let's do that.
let's
but,
learn you
like,
something today.
That's it. Like they are such a large entity. And then to think, that doesn't even include like their theme parks.
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't even talk
Yeah.
about that. Their fucking cruise line, the island that they own.
And like
It's
the
like-
and like the toy line, which is infinite,
Sure.
Mhm.
So like they have all these other ways to make money, and still we always talk about, well, they made a bad movie, they're going to lose money. They're not. That's part of what I think when it comes back into why they can drop $300 million, $400 million into things, it doesn't matter. It's because like money doesn't matter in that aspect. You think, well, their shareholders, doesn't seem to make a fucking bit of difference.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to matter.
Depends on how you look at that, but I don't. I mean, it's just the
It
laws
keeps
have changed so
happening.
much. Well, the laws have changed so much with like fiduciary
Responsibility, shareholders, and all that,
responsibility to like shareholders. Like it's changed. It changes every couple of years. It's like what's.
I mean,
like,
listen, you can just tell them what's coming.
required.
You can't make it be popular.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean,
Well,
like,
that's the thing.
some companies do have a fiduciary responsibility to make decisions that are going to make the most amount of money for their stockholder. Like they are required by law
Sure.
to do that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Disney's wanted, probably not. But I mean, I would imagine that at one point they were, and something happened, and whatever. But it's just, I mean, Chris, one of the lines you always say that I always harken back to in my head is like, you can do whatever you want, but you have to be okay with the ramifications that come from it because you did it. So it's like, especially with the movie in the frame, what we're talking about, Snow White. Like there are a lot of odd decisions that like Disney's got to be okay with, and I mean, you can only blame the public for so long before like that gets old.
Well, they're going to do
So-
that until it doesn't work, and it's worked for quite a bit of time now. So a lot of times that's been in a disingenuous position to take. But there's been like one or two cases where it hasn't helped, right? But again, you can only do that so long before you have to find the next thing that you can blame things on. And right now, there's a lack of innovation, there's a lack of creativity, there is a lack of passion for the things that matter within the movie making sphere, the entertainment sphere, and that's what is causing the things that they're creating to feel empty, hollow, devoid of the imagination, creativity, and the spark that is required to capture people, because that's not what they're trying to do. You're talking about old Disney and like what it meant growing up. I like my movie watching experience is a little bit different. Like, my grandmother had all the Disney animated stuff as they came out in like the white clamshell cases. Yeah. yeah, like the ones that we went to. I mean, Sword in the Stone was huge for us, but
Yeah.
like
one that's just my favorite animated Disney movie.
okay, yeah. We're big medieval, like a big medieval fantasy family, D&D and all that kind of stuff. And the Sword in the Stone just fit, the things we're into. But like, watched, all of them growing up, and the difference in the like thinking about those movies then and stuff that comes out now is like there's the messages in the movies were like they were simpler back then, right? It was, you could be any age, watch it and get it. Whereas I don't think you can do that as easily now, which is amazing because the animation's better, things are more lifelike and such. But somehow there doesn't seem to be the same connection to the movie as it used to be. And maybe that's just me as an adult. And, maybe I should talk to my kids about it and ask what they think about, when they watch like a movie like this. You know what I mean? But
not to cut you off, but let me go through a couple things that aren't animated movies
Mhm.
from Disney that came out in the early 90s. Like these came out in like the order. This is straight from IMDb.
yeah.
Okay. Starts right after Beauty and the Beast, which is 1991. Also in 1991, we got the banger that was The Rocketeer. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Oh
Like
my
that movie
goodness,
was
yeah.
that was a big
Yeah.
deal. Okay. Then Aladdin comes, which we're not going to talk about. Then Mighty Ducks, same year as Aladdin.
Mhm.
Okay. Big deal. Muppets Christmas Carol, that following,
Jeez.
the following Christmas time.
For the record, I hate the Muppets and I despise those little bastards to all of my
Whoa.
being. But I understand
Whoa.
that a lot of people really do like. And
I want you to
like,
understand the Muppets are fucking awesome.
Exactly. Like this is I get it. I hate those little bastards.
Also in that same year was
Okay.
Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, which is the
That's
sequel
a
to
good
Honey, I
movie.
Shrunk the Kid.
That's a good. Like those are both good movies.
Right. Next year after that, back to backs, we got Cool Runnings.
Yes.
All right.
That's in my top 20
Hold
of
on,
all time.
I'm not even to the good one yet.
Yeah.
I just told you. Homeward Bound.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right?
I've recommended.
Wait,
that
hold
movie,
on. Shadow, Chance, and Sassy, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
Sassy. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Also that year, which is not a movie that I care about, but still has cult status, same year as Hocus Pocus.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The first one, sure.
I'm not a fan, but I get it. Yeah.
Also, that same holiday season was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Jesus.
That's just 1993.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you if you think maybe this is because Disney had all the creativity, or was Disney the big
They
studio?
had the money.
Well, or maybe Disney was the big, like, the big studio that people went to that had creative ideas, and Disney just caught a lot of really good, like different ideas for different sectors, and they benefited from that. That's a possibility, right?
Well,
Like,
I think both are true.
okay, that's fair.
Hold on. All right, let me go to 1994. All right, 1994, which is Lion King year. So
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
also that year, The Santa Claus,
Oh man, yeah.
massive movie.
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks 2,
There you go.
and Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, Angels.
Another big
I
one. Angels in the Outfield. Yeah.
remember seeing that movie.
That's also the year I had Blank Check.
okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, and then 95, you get Toy Story, and things kind of go a little different direction on that. But,
Yeah, but I mean that also spawned a whole different movie.
Also,
from the
Heavyweights
era.
is that year. Remember
Oh, yeah,
Heavyweights?
yeah.
Big
Oh,
movie.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller. Yeah. And-
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's enough to go through that.
So,
but, like,
so
there's
so,
a lot of stuff that wasn't just animation there that Disney was pumping out.
yeah. So I want to highlight something though. Like,
Sure.
like you going through that list,
Mhm.
you guys can feel the joy of the nostalgia.
Yeah,
right? You know
right.
what I mean?
Like, it's there.
Like as you read that list, you're like, yeah, and like
Mhm.
I don't know if that's just because we were kids then and it was different, or
So,
if there was a different kind of spark then for for like movie creativity.
I think it's twofold.
Mhm.
The spark is probably part of that.
Yeah.
But I also think too is like I named like in 1993, I named 6 big movies.
Oh yeah, it was
Not
like,
ca-
one
like-
year.
they didn't care about stepping on their own movie.
Mhm, yeah.
Like, look, we're gonna put these movies out 45 days apart from
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other,
yeah.
and that's just it. But now it'd be like Disney's putting out 2 movies in the summer, and that's it,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't count the superhero ones or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you would never see a release schedule like you'd never see 6 things
Mhm.
slated, and one every 2 months. You just wouldn't see that. So
Yeah,
Can I do
I think
another
the
list?
machine. I think the money machine has bloated too high for them to be able to do stuff like that. Anyway, even if they wanted to,
Sure.
like putting out a whole bunch of movies at once. Like, there's so many things that they need to, make sure that they tackle and do
Mhm.
right and give enough time to make money.
yeah,
that,
like run ESPN.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a little bit different now too, with like the way that like they're so conscious of timing.
So let
Grayson?
me read you another list then. Like this is from a few years later. So Chris, it actually might resonate a little better with you. But I mean, I was there for these, so I remember. But like, remember the Titans, Miracle, The Rookie, Invincible, The Greatest Game Ever Played, Glory Road. Like, there's a good 5 or 6
Sports
years
movies.
there where like
Yeah,
those are
sports movies.
all really good. And the two,
Yeah, small movie. Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans? Yeah.
I think Miracle and Remember the Titans. Sorry, Miracle absolutely might be in the running for one of the greatest sports movies, like bar none.
Sure, I wouldn't argue that.
Remember the Titans is like also in that conversation. Like the more I watch some like Invincible and Glory Road, like God, those are good movies. The Greatest Game Ever Played with Shia LaBeouf, the golf film
Yeah.
about another, but good. Like
No, it's
those are
very
solid
watchable movie.
entries.
Yeah.
But you can't say that about the stuff today. And I mean, I don't mean to like keep kicking them while they're down, Disney, but I mean, those are some very solid lists that were pretty common to them. It was. I mean, I'm
You know
sure
what we
they
need?
weren't that.
You
big
know,
a
you know
deal
what we
then.
need?
What's that?
More Air Bud movies.
No, we do
Bring
not.
Air Bud back. Yes, we do.
But
I
like
don't think they do as well.
but like a gritty
I don't think they- I-
Airbud reboot.
Gritty Air
gritty
Bud
one?
reboot. Jesus.
Where he's got like a
Airbud has
spike, he's got
rabies.
like aggressive spike collar like Mad Max style where he can run.
No,
into
he's
stuff.
got the cone of shame.
Yeah,
Ah, okay, yeah.
And then
No,
second
I
one
mean,
gets rabies.
He's
has to
gritty
sit
in like
down.
the sad way.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like the end of Marley and Me.
God, yeah. That's what we need right now. Is more Marley and Me.
Yeah, but it's I just remember some of those movies so very fondly. And there was
Yeah.
a period of my time when I was like, if the Disney name's on it, it's almost like the Nintendo seal of quality or quality seal, whatever that was from back in the days. Like if that was on it, you knew you were getting a quality game. If the Disney name was on it, you knew it was a quality movie that you could be safe for your kids, family, well, whatever.
Let me take a weird segue in this conversation, but
Okay.
but I think you saying that right there, Grayson, is what put this thought in my head. Do you guys think that the kind of like the feeling we have right now towards Disney has anything to do with streaming in general? And maybe not even just Disney streaming, because that's its own bucket of shit on its own.
Sometimes, yeah.
But like just the fact that movies aren't as much of an event now because there's so many of them that are becoming easily accessible, which is not a bad thing in terms of hey, people should be able to watch movies too, even if they can't afford to go to the movies.
Yeah.
But like is the fact that it's just not as much of an event as it used to be, has that maybe also helped to kind of kill the that spark of excitement when a new movie's coming out, or like when a new Disney thing's coming out? The quality of their filmmaking has gone down, and their writing and their creativity and stuff. But like, I think that maybe there's a lot of pressure for them to put out so much stuff that it is kind of taken away from the the event feel of when that comes out, because we still pay attention when Disney makes something, right?
Always. Yeah, you have
know what I
it
mean?
has to at least be on your radar.
So like we're paying attention, but it's not in the same way, and maybe it's
Yeah.
because there's just so much out there now. Disney's a part of that so much, that inundation of so many things that are just available at this point.
Yeah. Well, let me bring up one thing. You talk about Disney always has some sort of presence. Let's talk about a movie like Elio. Okay.
Mhm.
Elio comes out this summer. All right. I have seen stuff for Elio for fucking 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we had a teaser for it in like early 24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just like, wow, so this movie's finally coming
Mhm.
out. And like, look, I have no stake if Elio is going to be good or bad. I honestly don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's just been there for so long. It's like they know how to make their own stuff into some sort of event, for better or for worse.
Mhm.
Like they still have the marketing budget. Like they can still artificially drum up stuff even when it's bad,
Mhm.
and still get people to at least talk about it. It's
There
they
was
can do it.
there was a big they made a big hubbub about Strange World for a long time too.
Yeah,
didn't
they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was a year
It
and a half.
turns out Strange World had some controversy that was well. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Strange World. So Strange World had some controversy about a gay character. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
and the short version of that is when you actually watch the movie, nobody gave a shit
They
about the
handled
gay
that right.
character.
No, they handled that perfectly.
The people the problem with that movie is it fucking sucked. Like,
Yeah.
and everybody was just like, well, nobody saw it because of this. That's not true. The movie was just bad. It's
Yeah,
like,
I was hoping you were going there with what you were
Yeah.
saying, because I was
no,
Yeah.
Because it's like, look,
That's still the
I've-
one thing that kills movies, though. A theatrical release or streaming release is like, if it gets bad word of mouth, it's going to kill the viewership. Period. And there's nothing
Sure.
you can really do about that.
Well, but bad word of mouth in this case is their fault because the movie sucked. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think
sure,
that,
but, like-
that's the point to make.
We also live in the era where like they're not willing to admit that, but they will say, "Oh, America's homophobic."
Oh, well, yeah. But
And, like,
I
that's
mean,
part of the problem, though.
yeah, but I get that, but then there's people, I think, we're three of them that would say, no, actually, the movie, like, if the converse was true, right? If the movie didn't get watched because people made a hubbub about that topic specifically,
Yeah.
but the movie was good, we would say, hey, idiot, the movie's good, you should
Yeah,
probably see
like,
it, and
you
no.
focused on the wrong thing if
Yeah.
that's all you got from that movie.
Well,
Yeah,
like,
and-
Turning Red was one that you guys argued.
yeah,
Sure.
yep.
It's like
I love
people
Turning Red. I
didn't.
think
Turning
fantastic.
Red's a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian community, you got that one wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just that's all there's to it. But it's again, I don't think that the people in our day and age have a problem with saying, "Hey, asshole," that isn't a problem.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
At one
it-
time, maybe.
It can't really. So like things like that, like controversies that aren't really controversies, should never be the excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean you can always use it, and people always will.
It's a crutch, though.
It is. That's the thing. That's just a crux. If your movie isn't good, and like the way you can judge whether a movie is good or bad, because you can't always judge it by how much money it makes. You can always judge it by a critic score and like how much a regular person would enjoy it. All right.
Rotten Tomatoes would like a word with you, or it's
Well, so
controversial.
Rotten Tomatoes used to have integrity. Listen, I would argue 5 years ago, like before COVID,
Yeah.
like I would have taken Rotten Tomatoes' word as fucking like the hand of God.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? But like, look, turns out you don't have to because it can just be bought. Like, and they fucking. And here's the thing: they
Why
said they could. Be.
Disney?
Yeah, they said they could. But like, if your movie is bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, no, it's your fucking fault. Well, listen, sometimes it is.
Yeah,
Sure, most
okay,
of the
fair.
time it's not.
Fair.
That's the same thing, but like
not.
that's the same thing. But it's to say a movie is bad is like that's such a broad spectrum of a thing. Like
Why
is
is it bad?
Like exactly
Tell
why
me
is
why
it
it's
bad?
bad.
But like that's the
Yeah.
thing is, I mean, I could sit here. That's also kind of the point. Is like I could sit here and list to people. We all three of us could list to people why, like, well, this scene didn't pay off because of this and that,
Yeah.
or didn't quite flush out. But like people are like, I don't care, I liked it, and like, well, that's it. That's where we're at right now. Is like you. I don't want to say you want to change anyone's mind, but like at least people's minds should be open to being changed.
Yeah.
That's
We're open
the
to having a
problem.
conversation.
Yeah.
But it's just like, if you tell me Stranger was bad because it has a gay character in it, I'll be like, brother, you didn't watch this movie because it's way worse than that. It's like,
That's fair.
There are
Yeah.
so many.
So,
real,
I mean-
there are real problems with that movie. That ain't one of them.
Well, so I think a good example here, and this is not Disney, but
Uh-huh.
I think this is a good example is a movie that I think me and Grayson watched, but you didn't. Is Nimona?
On the Mona,
Okay.
absolutely.
Like,
I know I have seen Pneumonia.
Okay.
You guys did your own special episode
That's
on
right. That's
Pneumonia.
right. So like Nimona is on the surface of a really well put together movie,
Mhm.
but like, and it's not that I dislike that film, but I will not recommend that to anyone,
Sure.
anyone that is a parent for for a specific reason within the film,
Mhm.
and it's not the one you're thinking of. Twitter, calm down. But like it's
I believe it's
like-
called X now.
no X, the everything app. The
Yes. My fault.
but like that movie has a very specific flaw in it, in my opinion, that I can say, the movie's made well and the movie's fun, but you know what I mean, like, and that's that intelligent conversation
Mhm.
Well,
that you
I
should
think
be able to have with someone.
I think if
about
I'm
a film.
remembering right, it's almost kind of like a dangerous message to send to kids.
Yes,
Like,
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm getting this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a very dangerous, questionable thing
Mhm.
to send to kids in an age where they're inundated with everything. It's so young that like ability to sort through anything is just for a kid is almost nothing.
Well, yeah,
So,
but
like, yeah,
yeah. Well, my point there is that like you can see a movie and not be able to recommend it, disagree with it, but still talk about the positives and negatives, the merits, the flaws of a film, and that's the conversations that people should be focused on having when you have people that are like, well, hey, your movie sucked. Like Grayson's saying, well, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's
Well,
where it's important.
Again, like you shouldn't be able to review on a movie that you've never seen.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
there are things with that. I mean, like
Agreed.
look, and that comes back to a bad movie that Disney made actually called Captain Marvel. Okay,
Yeah.
like listen, that movie's not very good, right? But like Rotten Tomatoes, which is one thing I give them credit, they turned off the reviews because before it launched, it was getting
Yeah.
inundated with negative reviews, and people were like, You don't
one of
have to
them
like this
can't do
movie. We're not telling you have to like this
Yeah.
movie, but like you can't give it a bad score because we know you didn't fucking see it. Like it's
Well,
not
what's the-
out.
Yeah.
What's the one rule, Roger, of film
You have to
criticism?
watch it.
Exactly.
You have to watch it.
Yeah.
Like
Like
it's
if you
not
don't
even
watch
rocket
it,
science.
it doesn't matter.
You can say I'm not going to see that movie because it looks like it sucks.
Hey,
You can't say that movie
Fine.
sucks.
You can't say that movie sucks though. I assume that
Yeah.
movie sucks.
to,
Fair.
to wrap this all back into the conversation that we started with, though, it's like it's like this is that heads and tails dichotomy of like where we've gotten to with Disney, though, right? Before they were a surefire bet. They had this feeling of creativity and just overall joy with the movies they were putting out that had
They
messages,
were events.
that had family messages that families wanted to be a part of. It's a whole different beast now. And there's still a lot of good with with what is within that realm. Unfortunately, there is a lot of bad and a lot of missteps at this point. And it's not wrong for people to point that out when it's noticeable.
Yep.
And that's where Disney is currently. Sometimes they make something that's great, sometimes they make Snow White. So
Again, I think for the right person, Snow White is actually a pretty decent movie. I just for what
yeah, my
I
7-year-old.
it's not even for a
I was
7-year-old,
gonna ask about that.
there's some real questionable things that if you have a bright 7-year-old, which I think you do, and your older daughter is, you've talked about how they're like kind of above the curve in like intelligence, like they might pick up on some of that stuff and they really might run in a direction that was completely unintended. But I
saw what
mean,
you did.
it's that I can understand why some of those decisions are made, but like let's get into it. Like we're talking about Snow White, so like again, I think so many of the decisions are because like okay, if you take the same script, you have the same budget, same actors, you somehow transport everything through time to 2018 and make this movie, it is very different. It doesn't look like it does today. And that's the problem. Like over that 2020 threshold, that's where things change. And I think go ahead.
In fairness to your point, I think you could say the same thing if you went in the future though too. If we went 7 years from now, it's gonna look like culture. Culture will affect the way your movies are made. And entertainment is made.
I don't think that it should. Like you shouldn't be able to 100 years from now. Someone who's been like fed all the stuff within the last 100 years, starting now or starting at 2019, and be like, and then you feed them all, then they're like, watch
see
Snow
something
White
that's immediately recognizable. Yeah.
Well, no, then you're like, what 5-year span did that come out? And they're like, oh, easily 2020, 2025. Like that should not be should not be possible in a movie. It just shouldn't.
I would argue you don't even have to limit that to Snow White. You can say that with almost every Disney live action movie.
That's fair.
Because like there have been some serious missteps on their part here. Like one of the ones we talk about quite a bit, from a previous thing we did, we talked about Dumbo. And Dumbo's bad. Like it's, and I know you guys might not agree with this immediately, but Dumbo might be worse than this movie. Because like Dumbo's really fucking bad.
It is bad.
I
think for different reasons though.
Yeah, but like Dumbo's not reckless bad. Snow White is reckless bad. That's the problem.
I mean, like, look, it's bad. Like that. That's the overarching theme here. Okay, and like the one that stands out, the one that's really honestly isn't that great, but is like the crown jewel of this for whatever reason, is the Lion King remake. Okay, which is the exact same movie, only done worse. And like they tout this as some sort of thing they should get behind and champion because it made a shitload of money. And it really truly made a ton of money. But like that movie's really fucking bad too.
Yeah.
And the other one is Aladdin, the Aladdin remake, which is okay.
That one was okay. Yeah.
It's okay. But again, we talk about it as okay as like it's the shining beacon.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing these things?
Here's the thing, and this might be the curmudgeon-y old man in me, but I think that Aladdin,
Beauty and the Beast is fine though.
Beauty and the Beast is fine.
Yeah,
you're right.
Okay, it's okay.
I think that if it hadn't been for Robin Williams passing, I don't think they would have shown as much care to Aladdin as they did. I think that something happened there with the creative process where, like, because of the legacy of Robin Williams, I think they showed a different kind of care to that.
Okay.
I think that there's a chance that Aladdin is way worse if Robin Williams hadn't passed yet. And
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I think so, well,
I never considered that. That's a good thinking.
it's
think about.
it's just it's like the idea of legacy and a character that's beloved and such like that. Not saying that other Disney movies that have live action.
Well, it was
aren't
done by
that.
somebody who was like a serious actor too, and
Yeah.
Will Smith, where like he would recognize how important this role is to
Yeah.
get correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Especially
that's
because
line
like Will
down.
Smith is a champion for like a lots of other things, like
Mhm.
being a black actor in a lead role and
Mhm,
things like
mhm,
that. Like he
mhm.
would take a role like this and put his whole heart into
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's what I mean.
And you're like, look now, since he has his own controversy, it's like slapping a man on live television,
Yeah, well.
which is what it is.
As one does, you know what I mean?
Listen, sometimes people get slapped in the face.
Sometimes it's not a skit.
It's true.
So, but I say that because it's again there are certain things that kind of like show that spark of seriousness, creativity, respect, and all that kind of stuff to these. Where like sometimes the ones that we call like Captain Marvel, the Marvels, those are two you can point out right away that like they just don't have that same feel of of taking it seriously isn't the right term, but it's all I've got right now. But like it's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna it's almost this entitlement and expectation of we're going to make this thing and you're going to love it and you're going to go see it, and they haven't earned that
Wrong.
anymore. And
No,
before
you're
they-
right.
bef-
Yeah, you're
before
right.
they didn't have to earn it because they already did for so long and they were consistent.
Well, they had banked so much.
Yeah,
and
they had
that
a lot of
bank
credit,
that
right?
that credit has run dry.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
Well, it's the same because like that's also run dry with Star Wars, Marvel,
Sure.
and like the Disney line, like
Mhm.
they've all run dry. Like I just read something the other day that's like Star Wars will never have the same height that it once did because like the shows that have come out now, I forget is it the Nielsen ratings or that does like the TV numbers what
That's
is that
Nielsen,
called?
yeah.
Yeah, they said that the watch numbers on these last few Star Wars shows, despite what Hulu and Disney will tell you, is the lowest on record, and it
Well, here's
continues
the thing
to drop.
too, though. They don't have to officially report that stuff either.
Nope, not yet.
Like there is no regulatory thing for that yet.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, it's
Um,
trending downward. So like, I
sure.
mean,
I mean, here's the thing: TV viewing in general.
Yeah.
is
Sure, of
trending
course, of
downward.
course.
Of all, even like because everybody's like, "Well, you still watch TV because you're streaming." I don't really
It's
do
not,
that.
not quite the same. It's
It's-
on
yeah.
my TV.
If
I'll
it's
give you that.
live sports, yes.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
answer to
yeah.
that is yes. Like
Yeah.
live other stuff, TV shows,
Mhm.
not so much anymore. So
speaking of live events, let's talk about a movie we came here to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's get into it, and I have a heavy sigh of regret with
You
saying
did.
that because
it's
it's just-
good. Great start.
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really banking on this
Can't-
thing being amazing.
It
but-
can't be as much as my regret of my journey to
Fair.
actually like completely take this movie in, because I had to ride in a car with my wife, my two daughters, and my niece
Oh God.
all the way to
There's
the
a lot
movie
of-
theater,
It's a lot of estrogen. in
listening
one
to
car.
the Wicked soundtrack all the way there.
Well, like the Wicked.
know.
Like,
Yes.
look, the Wicked soundtrack isn't bad.
It isn't
though,
as it
so-
isn't as good when two 7-year-olds and a 10-year-old are singing as loud as I can. I promise you, all the way there.
Were you
And
were you, were
then-
you not were you not belting it with them, just
And
singing
then
out
angle
loud?
them into the movie theater and then watch it. It's a whole different experience. And then
Okay, let's talk
Dear
about it.
God.
yeah, right. Yeah, Roger knows.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Yeah.
talk about Snow
Did
White.
not take my daughter to Snow White, so
Let's talk about Snow White with the frame of reference of what we just talked about with Disney and where it's been, where it's going. All that in mind, dear viewer, dear listener, let's talk about it. So, do you guys know? Have you guys looked at the tomato meter and or popcorn meter on Rotten Tomatoes for this?
I
did,
Look at them. I didn't look
actually.
at them yet.
So 43 and 74. The audience is liking this more than the critics. I Don't know
why
if
are
I
you
believe that.
surprised by
That makes sense.
well, it doesn't. It kind of the opposite of what I was expecting.
Hold
but
on. Watch. Well, let me put this into practical perspective. Chris, do you like Snow White? Yes or no?
No,
Let's
this
do-
movie sucks.
Oh, hold on. No, hold on. Chris, did the little kids went with you like Snow White? Yes or no?
Yeah, they really liked it.
Yeah. That's all that matters. I mean,
That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's it, man. Like that
Yeah.
legitimately
yeah,
matters to people.
and a lot of adults have the same IQ as my kid, so that makes a lot of sense.
fair.
I mean, look. In defense of a lot of adults, you have some very bright girls. So I mean, like, look, I mean,
Don't
You
defend
raise-
these. Don't defend adults.
all right. So 43 and a 74. The Metacritic, I think, is it's sitting at a 50. I just
I was gonna say it's sub 50 at least. It's at 50.
it's not.
what a
it's-
fucking cop out.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, here's the thing. So this is
Fuck.
and just for another movie, like a very popular movie that like I shit on. The Mario movie was nowhere near as high as 50. So like I just kind of like for a
Oh,
massive
Metacritic?
budget-
Oh, you're right.
Mario,
It was
like
like
Super Mario Brothers.
it was like it was like
animated
47 or something. He's
Oh.
right.
no Mario
Yeah,
was
that's
like it was
fine.
like 43 or something. It was even
Yeah.
worse. Than
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love that movie. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So
So
all right,
Snow White's
so
better than the Mario movie? Ooh.
that's
I don't
what
know.
we're
I don't know
saying. I don't-
Metacritic.
As a
heard
story.
that.
I don't know Metacritic.
Well, Mario didn't have a story. It just didn't.
Yeah,
so-
no, it's just a video game. That's
Neither
fine.
neither did this movie.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Before we get into the particulars, let's do the thumbs up, thumbs down thing. Chris,
Yeah.
you want to lead us?
Yeah. So thumbs up, thumbs down in 3, 2, 1. Meow, meow.
Like it's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to lift it a little bit, but I can't.
you're
I,
not.
I have my reasons. But let's get into some
This movie
particulars.
fucking stinks.
I don't know if that's fair to the movie, but
No, it is.
No, don't.
well, just hear me out, fellas. Hear me out. Let me get some particulars out of the way. Rachel Ziegler, Gal Gadot, Andrew Bernal, and Martin Kleba, and there's who I got it right here. Who's announced? It was from the Jennifer Lawrence movie. Oh, Andrew Barth Feldman.
Yeah, from the
Yeah,
No Hard
yeah.
Feelings kid.
Yeah.
No hard feelings. He
Which was,
voices
can we just
Joker.
talk about that movie for a
That's-
while? Because that movie's funny.
That movie was
It
funny.
is very, very funny.
I laughed at that movie.
It is very funny, and of course, it's written by Aaron Cassida Wilson, directed by Mark Webb. So, with all this in mind, let's talk about Snow White. And can I just ask you guys your first opinions? But before that, I will tell you, I really wanted to like this movie. I really wanted to be wrong. I really wanted the people to be wrong. I wanted Rachel Ziegler to be wrong. I wanted this to be a pleasant experience because this to me it's a remake of a golden age of animation way back when like this was like this. You want
1937, baby.
to talk about events? This was an event. Disney movies
mean,
back then were an
I
event.
mean, this is Disney royalty that you're
Sure,
trying to
of
remake
course.
here.
Yeah.
And I saw that like again all the stupid things that Rachel Ziegler has said. She's still a very good actress. Like that cannot be underplayed here. It's one thing that like I've not talked about a lot going into this because like I didn't want to sway or taint
She can
anything in
sing.
my mind. But
She can sing. I'll give her that.
she's got some chops. I thought Gal Gadot was gonna just act around her, and she didn't. Gal Gadot's role was flat. The Evil Queen was flat. It was uninspired. I was pretty mortified by how uninspired and how
I
other
disagree.
things.
I disagree with that. I disagree with pieces of that actually.
Okay,
So like I
okay.
agree with you that she didn't act circles around Rachel Ziegler. I agree with you 100% on that. I think Rachel Ziegler is the strongest piece in this movie. That's not saying much, but she
No, it
is.
isn't.
But
So-
I think that Gal Gadot does a good job here. I think she just committed hard to the camp factor of her character. I don't think that she did a poor job acting. I think she leaned into what is a campy
A bad
Disney
character.
villain. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I think that's what she
Sure.
did. Like she felt like she was ripped straight out of the animated movie and just dropped into live action. She's the only character I will actually say feels like that too.
Well, so the movie had
Definitely
me
not
for
the
the
dwarves.
the movie had me for the first 20 minutes and it just completely lost me after that. But only the reason the movie had me for the first 20 minutes is that was when it was the most faithful to the original and
Yeah, it was close.
and I got real Snow White and the Huntsman vibes, and that's to me like that's far and away the best live action iteration of this fairy tale ever done. But like I like it encapsulated the dark tone. Of course, I knew who was narrating, so I knew eventually he was gonna a character was gonna have to say something because he's narrating the film. But it had me for the first 20 minutes, and then after that, I couldn't have been more uninterested in the movie. I never got back on track. It never happened, and that's just my personal thing. But
Well, this is like so about the 20-minute mark or so. What Grace is talking about is like she ends up in the woods,
Yeah.
and then things go a whole different kind of direction,
Yeah.
and lots of stuff happens.
Lots of stuff happens without anything happening at all, which is also weird. But
And, like I love that she's lost like a mile from the castle. Though. Yeah, it's just like I wandered into somebody else's backyard. Help me! I can't get home. It's like, what the fuck?
the fence is too high. I can't climb it.
There's a poison ivy. I have to go around.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
first impressions, guys.
first impressions. Yeah, I mean, I got exactly what I thought I was going to get, and I don't know if that's disingenuous of me going into the movie with a little bit jaded, but I thought, okay, that's exactly what I thought this was going to be.
So first impressions for me is the first little bit of the movie is fine. Once we meet the dwarfs, though, man, like this whole thing goes sideways, and they look fucking
Horrendous.
terrible.
Horrendous.
Why does Grumpy look like Robert De Niro?
Why do they all look like some form of Robert De Niro? Like,
Like-
you remember that from Neighbors where they have the
Yeah,
Robert
yeah.
De Niro party where they're all playing different.
And then wait, who's the Franco in the back? He's like, he's done the De Niro pose
Yeah,
with the squinted
yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
And yeah, that's what they. It's kind of like a De Niro meets Mickey Rourke kind of distorted
Yeah,
face.
this
It's
is
like,
terrible.
well, they were awful, and I get everyone knows why, because they had to make a decision where they released some information early on actually late on in the cycle before the movie came out, and then the internet went fucking crazy, which the internet is known to do. And so I'm actually surprised they
Always
changed it.
level-headed the internet.
Yeah.
But I'm actually surprised that Disney made the change. I'm extremely surprised, to be honest.
I don't know. We don't know what actually happened, right? But like,
No, we
here's
don't.
the thing.
We don't know any facts.
I'm willing to bet that they started a certain way or had certain ideas in the tank, and then they looked at their storyboarding and went, okay, which way should we do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they probably had assets ready, stuff like that, and then they also probably took in the opinions of people on the project or such, or people had their own ideas that they didn't want to budge
Somebody
from.
made a call.
Yeah, and eventually someone made the call, and they went one way, and then they were able to easily course correct, reverse in some way, and make the pivot to what we got.
I have
think
a
that's what
hard time saying that's some sort of course correction.
well, okay. So imagine this movie with no dwarves in it now, and only the bandits. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like that's the movie. we got.
Okay, sure.
You know,
okay, I didn't think about it that way. You're right.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa. Yeah,
Vice versa.
Bandit dwarves.
Well, you know what? Or just dwarves, like actual dwarves. It's fine, no big deal.
Oh,
You know.
like little people.
Yeah,
sure.
weird. Like you have a-
weird.
like you
What
have a
a
whole sect-
novel concept.
Like you have a whole sect of actors that would be excited and excited to
Hmm.
do this. It's fine. I'm not going to go into this right now. But like,
It's
like
not a road we're gonna try.
again, I think that a pivot was able to be made, so they did. And because of that, we got this weird bastardized version of two movies. Because I am 100% convinced that everything that happens after Snow White leaves the dwarves was the original film. Because
you're right. I think you're right.
yeah, because I'm telling you, I in our group text, I sent you guys a picture of the Twilight Zone.
You
'cause
did,
because
yes.
I didn't want to spoil anything,
Yeah.
but I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone because I thought I was watching one movie, and now the whole thing felt different.
I have a bunch of questions
Mhm.
about like what kind of magical powers these dwarfs have. Like, look, you think
not-
that's
it's
some
not
sort
important.
of a joke? It's
No,
it's.
no,
Well,
no,
here's
no,
the thing, though.
I
it
get it.
should be important, right?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
And-
it should be. It's just not
Because
though.
like they have a whole scene where they're like, because the dwarves got to get their song.
Oh,
you
they
know,
do.
'cause
They
of course
do.
they do.
They do.
Like they're in the mine and
Yeah.
they're working, and like their hand lights up.
Yeah.
Like on screen, hand lights up, and they touch the rocks.
Yeah.
And the gem veins light up.
So this is called treasure sense, or
Okay.
or jewel sense,
Okay.
in some versions.
Just like
of
a
dwarves.
Dungeons and Dragons thing.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so they can actually detect fine gems and
Okay.
minerals and such like that. However, the whole light show thing was wild. You know what I mean? But listen, they got powers in this. Like I don't know what they did
Hold on.
with these.
So they only have powers. So I figured this out.
Yeah.
They only have powers in the mine.
Yeah.
Like they leave the mine.
Yeah.
They have no power.
They're not clear if they're like slave labor either, because this is like
Who are they indebted to?
that's the thing. Like they say, like they have to go to work. They're super worried about making it to work on
Yeah,
time.
they're worried about being late. They're the only people there.
Like,
No one knows.
they are
They
the,
don't even fucking punch a time
they
clock.
are the
Nobody
foreman.
knows.
Like yeah, it's
Well, I mean, I think it's meant to infer that they're finding gems for the queen, and
yeah.
she
yeah.
knows and they don't. But I mean, again,
You
none of it's
think
clear.
If
I'm
they
just,
have a union,
Huh?
I'm just
You think
no.
they're
they're
in a
not,
union?
come on, no.
Oh
they're
yeah,
not
they're
doing it.
unionized.
dwarves
hard.
labor union.
Yeah, of course they are.
I mean,
Um,
listen, mines are strong unions,
Oh yeah, 100%.
very strong unions. Listen,
That's
I
the
live in
thing
that
is-
area. buddy.
Dangerous places.
So something you just said, for Chris, is you felt like you're watching two different movies, and usually that's us pontificating because we don't know what happened in the editing process. However, this is one of the few times when we
Yeah.
can say that's true because, and I lost like 10 minutes of the movie. Like I just wasn't paying attention because someone says one of the bandits calls someone a name. I'm like, wait a minute, when did we learn that person's name? And I was like, we
Yeah.
never did. And like I
Well,
lost
so,
like 10 minutes of focus because of
Yeah,
that.
well, so there's two things that happen there, right? And both of them are bad. So one of those things is that this is an obvious edit and
Sure.
and a shift in the
Something's
script,
missing.
and someone didn't correct the fact that, hey, we don't know this guy's name yet, or they didn't give a shit about the script so much that they were like, hey, do they know that guy's name yet? Nah, send it, it'll be fine. Like they're both bad.
Okay.
They're both bad things. So
I mean, like, look, we have talked about things before where, like, look, you can't excuse technical issues
Mhm.
because you can't excuse technical issues because
Yeah.
that's a conscious choice.
Yep.
You know, it's not like, oh, you know, I mean, think about it. You think about terrible technical things that end up, you know, like Starbucks cups ending in
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
Game
yeah.
of Thrones.
yeah, good times.
You know, like
Yeah.
somebody just doesn't give a shit
Yeah,
enough about
yeah,
their
so-
job
yeah.
for that to matter.
Well, like, I mean, okay, the bandits. Because I'll go back to the dwarves, but the bandits, I couldn't give less shits than I did. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand, and I know we got to get to Jonathan, you know, because he's the doer good bandit guy, but like,
Is he?
not really. He's kind of a dick, but
Mhm.
it's like, how come they still leaned into the whole bandit thing, and it feels so forced at the end too. But it's like, why? They're like, it isn't revealed that they're actually fighting for the king,
Nope.
you know. So like,
It's definitely ambiguous.
yeah. So like the whole story of like what the bandits are doing. So these are just bandits. They've been robbing and stealing to survive. It's unclear if they're only stealing from the queen's people.
How many people you think they've killed?
That's what I mean. Like, you know, they probably killed their own people.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. Okay, here's the thing. So I'll put. So I don't know when the shift happened. If there was a shift, I'm sure they became a lot less important in the story, as is the
Yeah.
finished script product.
Well,
Fine,
yeah, that's
whatever.
where
But
yeah.
the only one we really needed was Jonathan, and the only reason we need him, and I don't even know how extensive the reshoots were. I haven't had the good fortune to talk to
Yeah.
someone. But do you remember when? So Rachel Ziegler did an interview with Gal Gadot.
did a
She's
few.
like, she did a few, and one of them she's like, it's a different story. We don't need a prince. And Gal Gadot's looking at her like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And she's not stopping. And she just continues. He's like, weird. You know, that interview that everyone's seen
Yeah.
it. Like, oh, a prince isn't going to save her. Well, part of the reshoots is that the prince was necessary. Jonathan was necessary to wake her up from the sleep. That's part of the story. I don't know. You can't tell a story in a movie called Snow White without including the true love's kiss, even though
Could have had
True Love
Dopey give her a
works,
kiss.
but-
They gave Dopey his own mini arc.
Well, Dopey was okay. I'm gonna go on a limb here. This is 100%, but like I thought Dopey was the best character in the movie. I got to be honest.
That's fair.
He was the one with the most. He was the one with the most intrigue and like why he couldn't talk, and he was separate from the other dwarves who made fun of him in a movie where they're trying to put togetherness. I think he was.
We make fun of each other all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But
We're
it's
friends.
so much,
That's what
so much
happens.
so much so that he was an outcast. And why did he look
Yeah.
younger than the rest of them? Can anyone
'Cause he
tell me
is.
that?
I mean, he was like that in the original
what was he?
animated too. Yeah. He has no beard. He's he's clean shaven and clumsy as hell. Like,
Does he look like the what's that magazine
got
that
a
was
different
big in the
mom.
90s? What's that magazine that was big in the 90s? What's that?
Mad
What's it?
Magazine?
Mad Magazine. Does he look like the Mad Magazine
He
kid
does.
too all the
Yeah,
time?
actually,
yes, of
now
course
that
he
you've
does.
said it,
Yeah.
he
Alfred E. Newman.
That's kind of weird, but yeah,
I couldn't
he
quite
does.
place it, and then like I couldn't quite place it, and I was able to, but yeah, he does look like that.
So okay, with this movie and like we can go over the good and the bad, but like I don't know if that's even necessary at this point. Like the thing that I want to talk about, the thing that struck me as the most odd for the decision making of this.
Okay.
When I think of Snow White, I don't know about you guys. When I think of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, I think of the Seven Dwarves. I don't think like Snow White isn't that popular of a character to me. But I was like I was a young boy when I saw this movie.
Mhm.
I'm sure I know there's plenty of people that were like they think of Snow White like the princess, but like I think of the dwarves. They are, if not at least, if they are not like the main pull of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, they are at least the 50-50 of this.
Well,
of
so
this
they are
movie.
as synonymous with Snow White as Snow White.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So like the thought process to not have the Seven Dwarves as the other focus of this film doesn't make sense to me. And I know they have to like as a live action movie, they get to explore things a little more, explain things a little bit more.
if
Because
they want to.
well, that's usually what they do in these things, right?
Mhm.
You know, which is fine.
Well,
But
they
like,
flesh it out. They flesh out
yeah,
more of the backstory.
yeah, exactly. So like, you know, I get that, but like, I don't understand not making this movie also about them, because they are the draw for some of your audience, whether that's 50% of your audience or 33% of your audience. It's a large portion. So like, I don't know why you don't focus on the dwarves too, and instead they feel like these weird sidecar characters, and then they're just that's it. Like we wave goodbye to them, and then we go find the good hardy bandits. Like I
Yeah.
don't understand where in the line or who made the decision that this was going to be this story.
Well,
And
I-
I'm not
you know,
I'm not saying it like Rachel Ziegler had pull in this, Gal Gadot, or who made the decision, but someone made this choice, and other people went, that's a good idea.
one,
And
one
it
day
just
we'll
wasn't.
get to true story of what happened here, and somebody's going to be like, well, yeah, there's a reason why it's two different movies, because we had all this stuff done and we just scrapped it.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's going to let that all go out.
Well,
and
see, I think it's the other way around. I don't think they had the dwarf stuff fleshed out, and that's why they look so bad. I think they had to hurry up and
Well,
do all that.
okay,
no,
so
I
let's-
no, I don't think the dwarves ever existed. I gotta.
Yeah,
It
let's
doesn't
talk
seem like
about
they
the-
did.
the way
Okay.
the dwarves look for just a second. All
Yeah,
right.
Robert De Niro. We've been over this.
Yeah, but so like for some reason they decided to take a real actor's face
Mhm.
and distort them.
Mhm.
Okay, but like not in like a way that they'd be anywhere recognizable. And none of these people are like super recognizable anyway.
Yeah,
And like, why did we do it that way?
I don't know.
Why couldn't we have just made them like taken, obviously because they're all regular sized people, and just made them look smaller? Like we've seen that done in many instances before.
The most recent Willy Wonka, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Like,
right, Wonka.
You don't
yeah.
have to like make them all weird looking, because like obviously they wanted to make them resemble the original 37 animated dwarfs, right?
Of course.
They do a fucking horrible job at it. So much so like it's off-putting.
Well, Doc's the only one that has any kind of resemblance, I think, to his character from the original film.
Grumpy a little. But,
Dopey, no, Dopey does too, I'd say.
yeah, yeah. So,
Because
but-
well, because he's got this not abnormally large ears.
those
Also
are the
because he
three
has
mo-
a genetic defect.
Yeah, those are the three biggest ones they have to get right, though, and
Yeah.
and they got those closer to right, but not right. And I don't know, like the whole interaction with the dwarves felt weird too. Like
They got a sweet setup in the woods.
they didn't help
It's fucking
her;
nice. No.
she only helped them. And in the original movie, it's a give and take. Like she helps them tidy up their home and stuff and all that, you know.
And they don't murder her.
Yeah, they don't kill her, and but,
Yeah,
but
that's not-
they actively work to protect her. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So like they're but again, going back to the Rachel Ziegler interview where she says like she's not not getting saved by a prince. Was it like I'm not getting saved by anyone in general? That kind of thing. Was that the decision making process there? I don't know. What about Grace? What do you think?
Well, see, here's the thing: is like, I mean, the fun family film where a young girl's asleep in a bed and 7 men walk in the room. That's what happens in Snow White. I thought that's weird, but it's.
I don't know why you said that, but I don't like it.
Well, because you didn't think about that at all. It's like, okay, anyway,
I mean, I didn't, but now I am.
God, man.
And I wish I wasn't.
like the Chihuahua, you're not gonna be able to unsee it.
God damn.
what the
So when do
fuck?
you think? So do you think this thing was always a musical? Because if you don't,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
They don't
Well,
cast
okay,
Rachel Ziegler if it's not.
well,
Yeah.
sure, but I mean, then hi ho, like that's one of the like, and Whistle While You Work. Those are two of like the titular songs that are
Well,
attached to the dwarves.
well, hang on. They're attached to the dwarves in the song. There is no reason you couldn't do "Whistle While You Work" with any other group of people.
Sure, okay,
Yeah,
fair
yeah,
enough, fair enough. However, if you don't have the dwarves, can you do hi ho?
Probably not, but like
Yeah.
maybe that's a choice that they're willing to sacrifice,
Yeah.
because like there's plenty of original songs in here,
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
you know, that
Oh, yeah.
aren't relevant. So like I don't know if you have to stick to that
Songs are too long too in this.
generally. Yeah.
Although
well, I mean,
even the
the movie
Whistle
is
While
too
You Work,
long.
Yeah.
the Whistle While You Work song is several minutes too long. It's just you don't.
The
If there's
opening
nothing-
song is too long.
If there's nothing that gets forwarded in the songs within the song, it needs to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's film 101. Is just like your characters are saying and doing stuff that doesn't forward the plot.
Well-
That should be cut.
Hold up, I have something that might circle back to that though. Think of any of the songs in the beginning, minus the first song.
Mhm.
Okay, those could have linked to other things that don't make it into this movie,
True.
or that got cut out,
Yeah.
and they're like, "We're leaving it because it's on the fucking soundtrack."
Yeah. No, you're right. Again,
Um,
this movie was a bandit movie before it was a dwarf movie.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean,
Yeah.
and you can, if you
I
want
hadn't
to,
thought about it, but I would lead into that. That might be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you want to, dear listener, if you Google who were the original bandit dwarves in the Snow White 2025 movie, you'll see what they were intended to be and how a decision like that may ultimately hurt the film.
I mean,
But-
they're still here. They're just the bandits now.
But
Like,
they had a different name, and that's what
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
referring-
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I'm referring to. That's talking about scaring parents off like crazy, but it's
Snow White and the Murderous Bandits.
yes.
Should we take our kids to this? Probably not. Man.
No, I don't know.
But like I want to ask you guys, did
Christ,
it seem weird the tonal shift of, because like it seemed like it wanted to be innocent, like the 1937 classic, and then it seemed like it wanted to be Huntsman, the Huntsman film at times, and then it had a much darker tone, and like there were
I'm not
swords and knives, and
He gives her a knife and says, "Cut her heart out." Like legitimately verbatim. I want her heart in this fucking box.
I want to build off of that a little bit, Grayson. I feel like I'm okay with characters having like growth arcs and character arcs and changing and stuff like that within a movie. But like,
Sure.
think of the way Snow White was presented to you in the first 20 minutes of this movie, and think about how she is in the last 40 minutes of this movie. It's a whole different person. It's a whole different character. She has a different attitude. She says different things. She's sarcastic as hell.
Yep.
Like there's all these things that are just like she's no longer Snow White that I was shown in the beginning. Which fine, she may have like had a growth moment, but like it's too much. It's very jarring to like
Yep.
to think about like who she was when she was cleaning the floors
Mhm.
and how she interacted with John then. Very innocent, very like oh well, you can't take that, that's against the
Yeah.
rules. And then all of a sudden getting to the end of this film where she's like having like these snarky back and forth sarcastic moments with different characters, and it's like who like this is now just Rachel Ziegler, right? This
Yep.
is no longer Snow
Yeah.
White.
Correct.
And it
Alright.
shows.
Uh,
The other piece, one more thing on that is like maybe it's because I was jaded going in, or maybe it's because I saw the interviews with Rachel Ziegler and I saw her contempt for the story and all this beforehand.
There's a lot.
But like I felt like in certain scenes that like her line delivery, I felt like it was like oozing with sarcasm or oozing with like just not wanting to be there in a way, and it pulled me out a little bit. But again, that could be my bias to like the way that like she presented herself outside of this film showing. But like
Okay.
I felt like it was coming through in the lines. And,
I could definitely see that.
yeah.
So two questions I have.
Yeah.
First question, how old is she?
In the movie or her?
No, in the movie.
no, like so how old her character is supposed to
How
be.
old is
She's
Snow
supposed
White
to be
in the
like
movie?
she's supposed to be like 19 or
Late-
20, right?
Yeah, late teenage, I would say.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So that's the vibe I got. So like I'd say probably 19, 20
Okay, yeah.
ish, right? How much time passes in this film?
7 years or something like that, they said.
Well, why do you ask that question? That's what I want to know. Why do you ask?
Well, okay. So why I asked, because like you could make, because I assume it's supposed to be a long time.
Mhm, yeah.
You could make a case that this takes place in 5 fucking days. 5.
Yeah.
From the time she gets to the woods, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the time she gets to the woods.
I'm saying 7 years from when she was a kid until the end of the film.
Yeah.
But yeah. I got you.
So
5 days passes.
I think it could be 5 days.
I bet it's probably less.
Well, because there's at least 3 night sequences that we go through. So
Okay,
assuming
okay.
day, night,
yeah.
day,
Okay.
night.
Got you. Yeah.
And then she dies or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she undies, which I have no idea how long of time passes between point A to point B there
True.
either. But
Yeah. Because he's not there, and then he's just there.
no, he just sort of appears because, like, look, it's apparent like they don't have to travel far, so travel isn't a problem.
Yeah, because it's just in someone else's
Yeah,
backyard.
it's just like over the hill.
Yeah.
You know, oh, that's the neighbor's farm down the road.
Yeah.
Oh, my fault. Sorry.
Yep.
Like that's it.
That's the dwarf cottage that's just over the hill.
Yeah, where the magical dwarfs live that we no one bothers, that know where all the gemstones are, and have mythical links to them.
Yep.
Because
yet the queen hasn't enslaved. somehow.
Maybe they do. Maybe she does.
Yeah.
It's like, look, they're really insistent on getting to work.
You're right. That's true. They are. Look,
This
they've
is-
been
they
played
gotta do
one
work
too many
ethic.
times. They know
Well,
what they
okay,
know.
let
They
me
know.
ask you one more question. This is not a time-related question.
Okay.
So when they go to assault the castle or
Yes.
whatever they're doing,
Lay siege
the dwarves are like, we're going underneath. Everybody's like,
as,
all right.
as a dwarf
No,
does.
no. To this point, makes sense. Where the fuck did they go? They just pop into a hillside and like they're gone for like 30 minutes of screen time.
Yep.
And then they just show up behind everybody like, hey, what's up,
Hey,
guys? like, we flanked them and routed them from behind.
I can tell.
Like, I assume that they slaughtered hundreds like throughout the cave system.
I can tell you how that happened. Budgetary reasons.
Yeah,
they
well, I mean-
cost money to animate.
Listen,
Appar-
like
apparently-
there are 100 dead people, like they just pickaxe holes in them that they fought their way through this castle, and they're like, it's okay, like
Or
they can't
none.
because like
Yeah.
or none
well,
because
okay, so
it
if
seemed
it's
like
nothing, it means like she has an army of like 9 people.
that's what I was gonna say. Is she only has those 7 men with her in the gate? Like, did you get
Okay,
the
so-
impression? Hold on, did you get the impression there was more than 10 guards? Like,
So, okay, I think you're supposed. Now, listen, I know I'm going to make the assumption argument here that you assume that at one point the army leaves to go south to fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes,
So at one point they at least had a standing army large enough to assault another country.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So this kingdom that has all these precious magical gems,
Uh-huh.
no one said, "Hey, their whole army and their king's gone. Time to move in." Got some.
Like, where are the mercenaries? Where's the guys who are like, I live here because I get paid to kill people?
hold on. So it's
This
my
is a much
question.
better movie,
My
by the way.
question was, did the musical? So did
Back
the
to the music, got it.
musical stuff make more sense in Joker or more sense here?
Oh, in here by far.
Oh, and here,
You think so?
Well, yeah, because I
I'm
mean,
just-
like Snow White,
just a
even
question.
like the animated has
Yeah.
songs in it.
So here's the thing. It felt very so like I don't know how you do a movie. So like okay, Beauty and the Beast.
Sure.
The some of the musical numbers, actually at least half of them, have everyone singing and dancing on screen. right?
Large scale musical numbers.
Yeah,
sure.
right. Like everyone's in the in the town square dancing and all that kind of stuff. Whatever. In Snow White, that's not the case, right? Like there's a
Correct.
couple.
No,
of
there's a
songs.
lot of solo songs.
Yeah, and like we don't we get it feels like a big production, a theater thing with like especially the opening song for sure, but all the
Oh, yeah.
songs have multiple people singing and dancing in it to where like it doesn't like again. I know this is the retelling of Snow White, but like it doesn't feel connected to the original Snow White besides a name. And I don't know, it just it makes that feel awkward. However, Grace, to answer your question, yeah, the music makes more sense here than in Joker, 100%.
Okay, fair enough. I just want
Yeah.
to ask the
Yeah.
question, but
I have questions about their pie making abilities also.
True, those are some big goddamn
Big
pies.
they are
pies.
big pies.
Like,
Those are gonna be stodgy.
but
as hell,
also
right?
like she didn't peel the apples.
no, you just put those in straight, right? You just raw dog them.
No,
Yeah.
that's not how it goes. No, no.
raw dog is definitely that's the way to do that. That's for sure.
Listen, I've
Um,
seen that happen to a pie. Whole different kind of movie though.
Good movie
American
though.
Pie,
Yeah.
baby.
Far better than Snow White. We just talk about American
American
for
Pie,
the next
baby.
5 minutes
So-
and end this show.
The one of the reasons why I don't like something like this is with the tonal shifts, and like sometimes it's kind of dark, sometimes it's serious, and the queen's like, no, cut her heart out. Literally dig in her chest cavity and bring me her heart for this box. And then at times she's like singing with all the deer. But then in the same time, how do you I guess my question is, so in this fictional universe that we're in, there's no violence. There's no outside
there's
countries.
violence.
There's violence.
Well, like
The
that
bandits.
doesn't. Sure, fine, but again, they're fighting a bunch of armed guards with sticks. What?
I
Oh.
listen. He's got a knife.
He did. He
He had a knife in his boot.
he did draw a dagger. Yeah.
Fine, but
Yeah.
no one else did, and they all had long
Yeah.
weapons and armor on. Like you're not.
The guy-
That's what I don't. It's
Yeah,
just
oh,
it's
yeah,
such
yeah.
not an accurate. Like I'm not looking
Oh,
for an
no.
accurate representation of history. However, I'm looking at one that it doesn't take me for a
Believable?
fool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's somewhat
Well, no,
believable.
I mean, okay, like I think that's where I can credit. I thought the same thing, Grayson, but I reminded myself this is a kids movie,
Yeah.
whatever. But like, I want to talk about something like that a little bit too.
Okay.
It is not believable. I believe I agree with Grayson here because like you know
I'm
I
used to Game of Thrones style stuff. At this
I mean,
point, so it's embedded in my
he
brain.
jumped down 3 versus 12, and it's like, oh, he's just dead, right? But whatever.
Done.
But like, I want to talk about the bandits, like that whole scene, that whole area.
Mhm.
That place looked terrible. Like the set design of that was wretchedly
Awful.
poor.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
bad,
it's
terrible.
Yeah, it's
I
bad.
just like how does this thing cost $30 million? Like
I can tell.
Because they shot 2 movies and cut them
you
together.
should tell me, Grayson.
Well,
tell me
I mean,
how.
Ziegler got because she was very vocal about if we're reshooting, I want my salary paid again. I'm sure she made enough to live 4 lifetimes in this one movie. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure that because someone like her, they're going to get paid every time there's a reshoot. They're going to get paid again and again and again.
Don't we just have the real Snow White as the queen in this? Like, isn't that who could just be Snow White? Gal Gadot?
Sure.
Like, why do we have
Gal
like,
Gadot could have, and I'm sure now Gal Gadot wished she would have because
maybe?
I don't
I mean,
think she ever wants to be in the same room
This
as
is,
Rachel
this is
Ziegler
the one
again.
you
but-
take as I just got a paycheck and left, baby.
Yeah.
I
Well,
do have
so-
one more funny
Okay.
comment to bring up about when
Yeah.
she sends her on the apple picking mission to cut
Yeah.
her heart out. I love that she put on her finest apple picking dress.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, I looked at my wife, I go, who the fuck would wear that to pick apples?
And her hair,
Uh,
her
Yeah,
her awful.
like-
I can't even.
you don't have a brush. You don't own one.
What makes you think Lord Farquaad has a brush or needs a brush? You know what
I mean, that's fair. that's
listen,
fair.
Lord Farquaad has made this choice.
Mm.
He owns it.
But okay, let's talk about okay, to be fair, some stuff I did like. The Huntsman, I did like. I did like that guy who let her go.
You have him, sure.
Yeah, he was just generic though. He was
he was
just,
generic Huntsman.
yeah.
Yeah. We
I
got
also love that she got duped with an apple in the box.
Yeah.
Bring me her heart in a box. Here you go. Never fucking do. Never opened. You didn't think about that, did you?
Oh my
She opens
God.
up like, oh, again, how much time had passed?
Yeah.
Like, do you think she immediately went out for apples? And he comes back and gives her the box, and she's like, all right, cool. And so a couple days later, she's like, you know what? I better hit up that mirror.
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
what's up. Or was it like a year later?
Let me hit up my boy Mirror.
Yeah, mirror.
Call him Rory.
Yeah, Rory the mirror. Yeah. Exactly.
Holy
Exactly.
God.
I don't know how much time passes even when she takes a bite of the apple and then die. Like how much time passes?
She
Then
didn't
we have to
even
assume.
swallow.
No,
No,
it was like the apple's still in her mouth when she
No, then
falls
she
down.
just keeps chewing. Spit it out. Dipshit.
Stop. Some
Um,
people can't act and look pretty for a role at the same time.
It's. I mean, let me. So, what are the? Did you guys like anything in this?
No.
Oh.
I like the Huntsman. I like certain sections of certain songs. I liked. I like
Okay.
with the Huntsman and Jonathan being in the dungeon and then ripping it open. Again, I thought of all this in a thing where someone's gonna come and save the princess, and Dopey I think has the most powerful scenes in this whole film.
Yeah.
Especially when he says something after she wakes up again, and that's kind of a nice transition from that sequence to the next sequence, and it's
Do you
just
find
sad
it funny?
Dopey has
do you-
the best stuff.
Do you find it funny that Dopey has some of the strongest stuff in this movie and he almost wasn't in the film?
I do
Yeah.
find it funny, but I mean,
That's crazy to think about.
it's what it is. I think
Allegedly,
I'd want it-
presumably, you know what I
sure.
mean? We have no proof on that. But
Before,
whatever.
I mean, I'd want to know what the process was for what happened with this. Because, that's, I think I got to know first before I start making any other assumptions. It's
Sure.
we'll
did they
never
just
know.
take 2 movies and meld them together? And,
Definitely feels like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
it just doesn't. Again, it's a shame because, this is just shit Disney. It's shit remake. It's absolutely abhorrent. There's just.
Is there any more of
nothing-
these on the planning sheet for them?
Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I'm okay with that though, because I've seen that trailer and I'm like, all right.
Well, I don't really
it
consider-
looks better than
well,
this.
So Lilo and Stitch doesn't need as much updating as some people would call it for a modern audience as Snow White
Sure.
did.
Because
So,
it was early
that's-
2000s for Lilo and Stitch.
Sure, but I mean, again, it's going to be very similar to Moana, I assume. But
Whoa, what do you mean?
well, I mean, Moana's done well. I'm sure they're going to use a lot of the same assets for the animations or something like that. Maybe I'm
Maybe.
wrong about that. I don't know.
That's possible. I have no idea.
I would imagine that. So okay, so do they then move forward with have we got a Sleeping Beauty live action yet?
No.
Like Maleficent was like kind of that, but
No,
not
we had
that.
Cinderella, didn't we? Yeah, we had
Yeah, we had Cinderella
Cinderella.
long time ago. So like, I mean, do they continue with the new modern day, or is it the old princesses, or do they continue with the new stuff?
I think that Moana live action is going to be their first idea. If that does really well, they won't touch the old stuff again. They'll keep on doing the most recent stuff that was popular.
Well, what
I
are we
think.
considering old stuff?
Anything before 80 or
the
before
hand
90?
drawn animation, right? That's like
Okay,
the old
okay.
stuff.
All right, fair.
I'm willing to bet that if Moana 2 does really well, we'll get Frozen next.
I just don't. Frozen is
I
so
don't-
good. I just don't,
I
have
don't
the
think
budget.
we get a live action Frozen until at least after Frozen 3.
Or do you
And that's not coming until 2027. at
or
the
do you
earliest.
think that we don't get a Frozen live action because that's like their break this in case of emergency button at this point?
I would have thought
is that-
that's what Aladdin, Lion King, and Beauty and the Beast was.
No.
I mean, but they doubled down and gave Lion King another one.
yeah, to their chagrin.
which didn't really pan out like they wanted it to.
Nope. Of course it didn't.
It's just one of those things. Like I wanted so very badly to like this, and I just walked away thinking, just throw $330 million in a bank and let it accrue interest. That's a better use of your money than this.
Let 10 people make $30 million budget movies.
Yep.
And see which comes out to more.
Speaking of
Yeah, just
small budget films, I did see, and I should have mentioned this at the top of the whole show, but I did see Bob Trevino likes it. If you're a crier, stay away from this movie. Just absolutely stay away. But I mean, the budget was almost nothing, and I like that. That movie is far ahead of Snow White.
Well, boys,
yeah.
we're talking about other movies now. So, we have any final thoughts on Snow White? Because this thing is shit. So, let's just. What you got, Grace?
Sorry, I'm disappointed in Disney again. Like when is it on? What's the phrase? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Or is it opposite?
Yeah, that's it.
Like
That's
when
it, you
when
did
do I
right.
start like? Because like you said at the beginning, talking about Disney, is at one point you said that you knew if it had Disney, you got excited for it as an event.
Yeah.
Now we're doing the complete opposite of that. So now,
Well, like a movie like this, especially because like normally, I wouldn't say we ever would have to watch Snow White because like we do make a conscious decision to watch what we want to watch here, not
Yeah.
just what comes out. But like with all this stuff that came out with this movie, we're like, we got to at least
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And kind of wish I hadn't. Honestly,
Yeah.
like it's just a waste of my time.
I luck out because my kids want to see
Sure.
it. So, like
Yeah.
it works for me. But I mean, I don't like seeing these things from my childhood.
destroyed.
Bastardized.
I don't mind if they're bad for like the reasons why this is bad hurts way more than it just doesn't work out as a live action or it just doesn't
Yeah.
work out being told through this medium. I don't think that's what happened here. I think that this like the things that made this movie bad are fully in the control and decision making process of those that are a part of it because they don't respect the original work. I think that's what we're running into here.
I have a
Well,
whole
that
list
hurts.
of other things for them to reboot. Not these things.
Yeah.
Like Blank Check and Airbud.
Mighty
Oh,
Ducks.
wow.
Actually, The Rocketeer.
Oh,
You could do The
boy.
Rocketeer so much better now.
Yeah.
The Rocketeer was a fucking awesome movie for its time. God Almighty. Yeah.
Titan AE, Iron Giant, those would be good.
Iron Giant, one of
My-
the unsung
Iron
heroes. yeah.
Giant's perfect.
I know.
It's fucking perfect.
So
It is.
hey, but so is How to Train Your Dragon.
It is correct.
Yeah, and
correct.
I'm super fucking pumped for
Okay.
that. So you're right.
okay,
You're right.
one
That's
question
good.
I do want to
Very
ask you:
good rebuttal.
where do you guys think this tops out in the box office run?
So here's the thing. I think Captain America is showing us exactly where this is going to go. It's going to do fine. It's not going to make its money back, but
No.
it's going to do fine. It's going to make 400, 500 million.
You think Snow
know what I
White's going to make $500 million?
Captain America's at 400.
It opened
Ah.
higher. It opened higher than Cap.
Oh,
What-
did it?
Yeah, Cap was like 63.
Well, no, this was 43.
It's
Mm.
87.
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah,
World.
You mean
world.
you mean world? Oh, I was just
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
the
Right,
the
the
US
world number matters. The
Yeah,
world number
yeah,
is the number that
sure.
matters.
Yeah, like I mean, I can't think of too much that's down the pipe that will take away from Snow White for kids, the people that want to go see Disney movies.
I mean, looking at our board for the next 3 weeks, would you be surprised if Snow White was number one?
yeah,
Now, listen, I don't believe it'll
No.
happen, but I wouldn't
No.
be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised because there's nothing to, but only because there's nothing else. Not because
Sure.
it's
Now,
better
look,
than the stuff coming.
That
but-
matters, though.
Yeah.
It's almost like they
So-
they delayed and put this out in a time that it might make more money.
Found an open hole. And was like, drop
Fiduciary
it in.
responsibility, right?
Weird fiduciary.
Scheduler guy gets made a lot of money.
Well, what about you
Alright.
guys? Final thoughts.
Wasting my time, man. Wasting my time. And the
That
other thing
look, if you,
is
yeah,
like
that's fair.
after all the stuff that was said about this movie, and it still turns out that it's just really bad because it is. Like all the other stuff, I don't really care about. The movie stinks. Like there's no redeeming things here. Like I'm glad your kids liked it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But like,
Even my oldest was like, I really liked it. Wait.
yeah, because like
Yeah.
walking out with my wife, because like we saw it this afternoon. Like
Okay, yeah.
we're recording this on Sunday, so we watched this. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. We get out. I was like, "What do you think?" She's like, "It's not good," because like
Fair.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's like she's nice to movies.
Same with my wife, yeah, and she said the same thing. So I mean, creativity matters, but at the same time, the way that you treat the things that that are beloved matters too. I think that casting really matters in this, and I think that the combination of some odd casting decisions of decision making process mixed in with it, I don't think that is a recipe for improving something that is already pretty well loved. It would be different if this was one of the Disney animated movies that were like kind of like, if this was Dumbo, right? Like people love Dumbo, but not a lot. But it's not like it's almost never someone's like, that's my favorite Disney movie, right? Snow White is some people's favorite Disney film.
Jesus.
And to see that, kind of go down this like decision making process, mix up for what seems to be some idealism stuff mixed in with just casting decisions that don't make a lot of sense. I don't know.
Well,
This movie's a big disappointment.
That's a very acceptable answer. Snow White when you say what's your favorite Disney movie, but like they're never not going to mean the 37 version. Like that's going to be. So like Roger, you were like Jesus. Like why? I mean, that's a very acceptable answer.
Oh no! So I said Jesus because I just pulled up their upcoming live action list.
Okay.
So just a quick rundown: Lilo and Stitch, obviously. Moana, we talked about. After that, it's Hercules, Robin Hood, Aristocats, Bambi, and Tangled.
Robin
No,
Hood.
leave Tangled alone.
Wait. Robin
Robin
Hood
Hood.
is like the fox and the guy the fox was Robin Hood and the sheriff that was like the big bear and
Yeah,
that's gonna be tough to.
That's a good movie too.
it is a good movie.
Yeah, that's one of my go-tos. That's like
Hercules is being directed by Guy Ritchie.
Oh,
I hope he
all
calls
right.
somebody a cunt and shoots him in the face.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like,
Okay,
are they gonna personify a lot of those mythical figures?
Guy Ritchie
or-
also did Aladdin.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's up against with that.
All right.
Yeah, I guess. Interesting though. It's yeah, well it's interesting because Aladdin, like that movie lived and died pretty much on who was Jasmine? What was her name? She was in Power Rangers, a lot of things around that time. I remember, but like that was her movie. She had the best line, she had the best voice, she had the best
Had the best song.
absolutely the best song. I mean, she sang miles ahead of Isis Masood, whatever his name was, Mina Masood, which I mean, very respectable, but I mean, yeah, she was just dynamite. But like, just Ziegler was the number one in this one too, but only because like I don't think the Queen had the songs to match hers. I think hers were short, snappy, and like meant to be quick and over quick.
Goofy. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things. I would have thought this movie would have gone differently. Although the last couple of weeks run up with all the news, that was why I was more interested for reasons of infamy than I was for curiosity, I think.
Yeah.
So, and that's just where I'm sitting at. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for this discussion of Snow White.
White.
Why are you saying what weird? This has been episode 22 of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are very lucky. A show where we are very lucky to talk about movies with you. You can each new episode, post every Tuesday at 5 a.m. on the podcast service of your choice of the following 6: Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Please leave a comment, rate, subscribe. Every little bit helps. Smash that like button. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Every little bit helps. So, and again, thank you very much for listening. Check us out next week. We're talking about a Jason Statham movie, and with that comes awesome.